No! This is not the video you came here to see. This video sucks. Don't watch it. Cut the tape. I got something better for you. Alright, reshoots, scene 1, take 4. Alright guys, let me explain what exactly was going on. So as some of you know, I try to post weekly here on YouTube. So far I haven't really had any issues keeping up with that posting schedule until this week. When it came time to start pulling the past week's footage together, the drone shots, the crash zoom montage, the mic'd audio, it became very clear that there might be a bit of a problem. So to give you a little insight into what I'm talking about, I think it would be helpful to understand the process I go through when I make a video. Now, I'm not saying this is the right process or the way you should be going about it, it's just the way I do things. So quickly, here's how it goes. Friday, choose an idea. Saturday, shoot main talking part. Sunday, drinks and Larry David. Monday, put footage together. Tuesday, B-roll bonanza. Wednesday, start editing. Thursday, post, breathe, repeat. Whew, did you get all that? Now, this process hasn't failed me yet, at least to the extent that it did in this last video. So let's talk about this video and why it gave me so many problems. The idea was simple. This was just going to be my second vlog. I wasn't kidding when I said I wanted to push myself to figure out this vlogging business. So the idea was I had been thinking about upgrading my iPhone. I had an iPhone 8 and the 11 Pro was looking like a solid step up. I figured this would be a great practice when it came to the vlogging part of things. On paper, it appeared to be pretty simple video. I figured I'd get a couple of drone shots driving around town, as well as document the trip up to Verizon. And maybe a couple of stops in between. Easy, right? What could possibly be so complicated with a simple video of me buying a new phone? Well, let me tell you how. The vision I had for this initially started with some kind of time lapse. I figured I'd show myself getting rid of my old phone, followed by me dumping the phone off at UPS. I did these shots, dropped my phone off, and started throwing footage together right away. I soon realized that I didn't have a connecting sequence from boxing up my phone to me driving. Yes, I also realized that I could simply have gotten another box at that point, but the time lapse was nothing to write home about, and even more importantly, it just wasn't very interesting. So I had to come up with a plan B. So plan B involved a vlog starting from inside the house and would then transition to footage of me driving. The plan was to get shots of me in the car, talking about why my car is so crappy, coupled with what features I was looking for in a new phone. Not super interesting, but it was something. We decided to shoot the interior of the car with my friend's iPhone 11 Pro. We thought with its HDR video capabilities, we might be able to retain slightly more detail in the sky than if we were to use other options that we had available. After looking through the second version of the footage of me inside the car, we realized two things. One, using the native iPhone camera app, there is no way, to my knowledge, to lock in the white balance. What this means is when you're doing something like driving, coming in and out of shadows quickly, the image is also shifting from cool to warm to compensate for those changes. It looked terrible. So the next thought was to use a manual camera app like Filmic Pro, which is totally worth the $15 by the way. The problem with using Filmic, at least in the version we were using, was that the HDR video option wasn't available. So basically we were going to be stuck with color shifting cell phone footage. An even bigger issue, one that was clearly becoming a reoccurring theme in this nightmare, was that the stories I was telling seemed long and drawn out, and honestly not that interesting. We tried several more times to rectify the situation. Not only was the story not working, I kept having audio issues, and my car was making terrible noises, which you could clearly hear in the background of me talking. It just wasn't what I was going for. At this point, I decided maybe I needed to take a break from the car interior and try to knock out some of the other shots on the list. I figured I'd try and get some of the wide stuff with the drone. I was finally getting some decent footage in my opinion, and thought, hooray, things are finally going somewhere. And that's about the time I see the drone make a violently quick stop, the camera slams into a downward position, and I'm not exactly sure if I hit something or if I'm tangled up in some power lines. Luckily for me, it was just the guidance system tweaking out. At that point, we decided to call it a day and go to a local bar and get some food. When we left, it was snowing, and not just some quick dusting either. These were big, fat, wet flakes that added up really quickly. Well, I was planning on shooting the rest of my video tomorrow, but it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. Can you believe this? Minnesota weather, I tell ya. And literally every single shot up to this point had been completed without any or very minimal snow on the ground. So after all this, the multiple days of shooting and reshooting, the weather changes, the audio issues, and the fact that the content was clearly boring, I finally thought to myself after hours of trying to make this video work, it's just not going to happen. Which honestly took all of the wind out of my sails. Now, I realized that maybe I was overreacting a bit with the failure of this video, but even as insignificant as it is, it still put a kink in my plans and future projects. It was a letdown that I had worked so hard to produce something that I thought sucked so bad, and ultimately I was embarrassed by. So I pouted for a day or two. However, halfway through the marathon of wallowing in self-pity, I had an epiphany. I started realizing that throughout all the mishaps that had occurred, there were just as many positives that could be taken away and applied to future projects. For instance, my life is not that exciting, and I shouldn't think that people want to see me buy a phone. Also, something that looks easy on paper isn't necessarily going to be easily executed, and always make sure your mic is on. Failure should never be exclusively looked at as a bad thing. With failure comes experience, and with experience comes the tools needed to help with the progression we as humans long for. So on that note, I will leave you with this. I'm sorry I still made you watch my dumpy video inadvertently. Thank you for sticking it out, and as always, like, subscribe, and hang out with me again. Until next time, I'm Kris. See ya!